Many cars disappear from the world scene every year, and some were renewed and other cars were completely discontinued. Many of the cars that went out of production were replaced by a new generation almost immediately. But others disappeared entirely due to refocusing of their brands or to make room for more SUVs. This video shows the 10 best high-tech cars that were never made. But first, please like and subscribe to the channel and then sit back and relax. 1. Alfa Romeo 4C. The Alfa Romeo 4C was one of the cars that excited the enthusiasts since it meant the return of Alfa Romeo to a segment from which it had been out for years, and being Italians, they did it in style. Designed to compete against the Porsche Cayman, it used a monocoque made of carbon fiber that could be seen from the inside and which helped it achieve a weight of less than 900 kg. At the center was a 1.75-liter four-cylinder engine that delivered 237 horsepower to the rear axle through a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission. It was a pure and very fun sports car which we had the opportunity to drive in 2017 on the Hermanos Rodriguez Autodromo track. 2. Bentley Mulsanne. It is the end of an era for Bentley, because with the Mulsanne, the iconic 6.75-liter V8 engine that had been produced in a way also went out of production or another from 1959. The last example was going to be one of the cars that they stopped manufacturing in April 2020, but with the COVID pandemic at its peak at that time and the plant closed, the last car did not roll off the line until June. Presented in the distant 2009, it was one of the oldest cars on sale and more than 7,300 units were sold. But it does not seem that it will have a direct replacement, but instead will take its place between the Flying Spur and the Bentayga. 3. BMW i8. When BMW launched the i8 in 2013, it created a new way of looking at a supercar, as it was the first with a range extender in the form of an electric motor and plug-in battery. The heart of the i8 is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder borrowed from Mini and atypical for a supercar, bumped up to 231 horsepower and driving the front axle, coupled with an electric motor for the front axle and a combined output of 374 horsepower in the latest copies manufactured. The BMW i8 had an electric range of 53 km, could do more than 20 km per liter without breaking a sweat, and accelerated to 100 km per hour in less than 5 seconds, emitting less CO2 per kilometer than a Toyota Prius. In addition, it had a monocoque made entirely of steel, and the Leipzig factory that produced it used renewable energy sources. 4. Dodge Grand Caravan. Dodge Minivan was an affordable, family-friendly, and fleet car alternative to the still modern and expensive Chrysler Pacifica, but in its basic form. It had been in production since 2007, when it shared many components with Pacifica's predecessor, the Town & Country. A few years after its introductions, it received a new engine, the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6, used by virtually all FCA models, but will now be replaced by the Chrysler Voyager, a name that comes back to life in the form of a less equipped version of the more expensive Pacifica. 5. Ford Fusion. The Ford Fusion ceased production in Hermosillo, Sonora this year to make way for the Bronco Sport at the same plant. Again, its disappearance is directly related to the brand strategy, which now favors SUVs and crossovers, and that it will not have any more cars in its range outside of the Axis, Figo, and the iconic Mustang. A measure announced in 2018 and which was charged its first victims in the form of the Fiesta and Focus. Although we won't have a Fusion anytime soon, rumor suggests that Ford could reuse the name in a couple of years with a station wagon-like crossover, similar in proportion to the Subaru Outback. In addition, in its basic form, the Europa will continue to be produced for the local market where it is sold as the Mondeo. 6. Honda Fit. Honda announced in recent months the cessation of productions of the Fit, which does have a new generation but will no longer be manufactured in Mexico, but will only be manufactured in Japan and China for those regions. Meanwhile, the Celaya plant where it was produced will remain solely for the HR-V, which, like the Fit, ages quickly. Its replacement could come in the form of the new City hatchback from South America or Asia, a car similar in size and segment but developed with reduced costs to better fit emerging markets like ours, in which the price in these segments is one of the keys. 7. Lincoln MKZ. Lincoln's premium midsize sedan is one of the cars to be discontinued along with its Ford twin, the Fusion. It was also produced in Hermosillo, and its departure obeys the brand's strategy to continue investing in the development of crossovers and SUVs such as the Corsair, Nautilus, and Aviator. Also, sales were no longer what Ford expected, and there was no point in continuing to produce it without its higher volume version. Despite sharing the base with the Ford, it had unique qualities, and even the difference was noticeable in the setup, in a firmer and better ported car to compete with the Germans and Japanese. It had 2.0-liter turbocharged and hybrid engines shared with the Fusion and a unique 400 horsepower twin-turbo V6 with all-wheel drive. 8. Lincoln Continental. The great American luxury sedan had its last model as Lincoln. Like its parent brand Ford, will completely abandon sedans to focus on its range of crossovers and SUVs. Launched only in 2017 and presented in Mexico in the middle of that year, the Continental was a true luxury car that was based on an extended versions of the Ford Fusion architecture, but had authentic and unique solutions, such as a filtered outstanding gear of vibrations and soundproofing and a dynamically competent chassis. The engine was a twin-turbo V6 with 400 horsepower and was associated with a 6-speed automatic transmission. When we compared it to an Audi A6 in 2019, we thought it was a car that gave a luxury experience very close to that of the best Germans for the price of their mid-size sedans. And there was even an edition with suicide doors to commemorate the original Continental, which sold out in a few hours. But it wasn't enough to convince Lincoln to give it one more try. 9. Mercedes-Benz X-Class. Mercedes launched the X-Class at the end of 2017 based on the Nissan NP300 Frontier, and it garnered the attentions of many almost immediately, but not for the right reasons. Although the new car was more than a rebranded Nissan, it was not special enough to have the Mercedes logo on the front and not to justify the extra price. So the first pickup of the German brand also became the last one in May 2020. 10. Seat Alhambra. The Alhambra is an old acquaintance of Mexico, which has already ceased to be produced completely, confirming that it will never return. Once very popular in Europe and the first choice of many families, sales of MPVs have been declining for several years in favor of SUVs, with 3 rows of seats that are much less practical but attract more attention. The second generation was launched in 2010 and is directly related to the VW Charon, which is still being produced, although it could already be in overtime. The Seat Alhambra is one of the cars that stopped being manufactured in Portugal, where the VW T-Roc is now produced. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, the subscription button, and the notification bell. To get notified when new videos are uploaded from this channel, please share your thoughts about the 10 best high-tech cars that were never made in the comment section below. Thank you.